Morning you guys, it's Karen and I'm here to talk about this. This is the SPF 30 sunscreen. It's a new one from the Inkey List and this is 100% mineral. So this has zinc as the main ingredient. It's 22% zinc, so it's a broad spectrum SPF. You may remember that they did have a product that was just called zinc, so they've obviously reformulated it and this one is tinted. I am going to compare this at the end to this and tell you the differences. This is the Australian Gold SPF 50 because they're very, very similar, I feel. What I also need to tell you about this is that I've already recorded and nearly published a review of this. So I tested it for 3 days, used it under makeup, used it when I'm testing an SPF. I don't use anything else in the morning other than I cleanse my face and put the SPF on. I don't want anything else to affect it, so I don't put any serums or oils or anything like that on. And I make sure I try it with different foundations. So I used 3 different foundations on 3 different days and I came and did my review. Then I have now used it, this is the 3rd day since then, I've used it for 3 extra days and I've had a different experience. And actually just before I was about to publish it, I was like, my mind has changed, so I need to redo my review. I'll tell you more about that as we go along. Okay, I can't remember what information I just told you, so let me quickly recap. £14.99 is broad spectrum because it has zinc in it, 22%. This is vegan. It's also reef safe, so it's non-nano zinc. It has 2% shea butter in it, and it also has 1% something called Polystop. Polystop is a product that's thought to put a kind of layer on your skin that protects it from the environment. It's not something that's hugely researched or anything, but it's not got anything nasty in it. It seems like it might be a good ingredient to have. This is tinted and suitable for all skin types. So suitable for oily skin, sensitive skin, acne prone skin, just so you can see the colour of it there, although I do of course have a video of me putting this on. It doesn't say that this is suitable for all skin tones, but it does say that it doesn't leave a white cast due to the tint that it has there, due to the colour of the tint. What it does mention about the white cast is that if you have a white cast on your face, to leave it for 2 to 3 minutes to absorb and it will disappear. So that's interesting. So I don't know how this will be on all skin tones, but certainly from the reviews so far it doesn't seem to leave a white cast. I had half a mind to send this to my sister who is mixed race and obviously got darker skin to see if it did leave a white cast, but she's got enough to be doing without me asking her to test out cosmetics. But there is a couple of reviews from dark skin people on the Cult Beauty website, and actually 2 of them, there's 3 people have said that it doesn't leave a white cast, and there's 2 of them that specifically say I'm dark skin and this leaves no white cast. So that's really encouraging. So let me tell you my experience of using this. So when I first put it onto my hands, I was like, oh, this looks exactly like this. And you guys know I love this. This is the Australian Gold SPF 50 original. So it's not the one that has the 3 different colours now. However, a couple of people have told me that the formula hasn't actually changed with the new one. But I'm sure I watched Angie at Hot and Flashy and she said the formula had changed slightly. So I'm a bit confused about that, but you know what? I don't need it to be clarified, because what I will do is I'll order another one in a specific colour and see what the formula's like myself. But as soon as I put this on my fingers, I was like, that's it, it's like this, great. Put it onto my face, it felt lovely going on. It feels really, really silky going on, but not greasy or anything like that. Spreads lovely. Seems to sort of soak in pretty quickly, you know, it's not sitting on top of your skin, but it doesn't go completely matte. It's not one that, you know, you suddenly feel like your skin is dry or anything like that. So I thought, this is great. This is just exactly the same as this, but maybe a little bit less expensive. Actually, when I looked at the prices, these are almost identical. This one is £24 if you get it from their website, and this is 88ml, a really random amount, and this one is £14.99 for 50ml. So they both work out about 20, I'm looking at my screen because I just did the quick maths there, about 29.30 pence per milliliter, so they're about the same price. Put it on, there was a bit of a dusty caramel or dusty vanilla smell, but that's because this has caramel in it. There's no added fragrance and no alcohol in this, so nothing in here that I would worry about for sensitive skin, but it did have that kind of dusty caramel smell, but it's got the caramel, the food colouring in it, which is fine, and often that dusty smell is just because they haven't had added fragrance, so I'm happy with that. I've put that it doesn't sting. I always make sure I test a new sunscreen sort of around my eyes, you know, and I put this right across my eyelids, no stinging whatsoever, because that is a problem that you know, I've had in the past with sunscreens. No tight skin I've put as well, so it's not one that, some of them, even though they might feel not matte, they still don't feel moisturizing to me. You know, I've had ones that, even ones that claim to be moisturizing, but my skin still feels dry and I feel like I need something else on underneath it. Didn't feel that with this at all. It felt lovely. So I put my makeup on and I thought it seems to be sitting okay over makeup, doesn't seem to be a problem. But the foundation I used that day was the Kiko Insta Moisture foundation, one that I know works for me. So about an hour or so later, I felt like my makeup was starting to melt. Looking in the mirror, I couldn't see anything specifically. It hadn't, like, my makeup hadn't broken up or anything like that, and it looked okay, but it just was starting to feel like as if I put my hands in it, I could sort of slide it away, you know. Whereas now I can feel it feels matte, and that's how I like it. You know, it doesn't feel broken up or anything. So I kept an eye on it throughout the day, and it didn't break up my makeup. It just left me with that sort of cakey feeling. So that kind of disappointed me, and I thought, oh no, this isn't going to be great because it doesn't go well under makeup. Let me try it with a different foundation the next day. So the following day I tried it with the number 7 Hydra Moist, I think it's called. No, Hydra Luminous foundation from number 7 that, again, I have used many times and I know works for me. I put it on, didn't feel too bad at all, but sort of as the day went on, my skin just felt, again, that sort of cakey way. It didn't look terrible until after I'd worn my mask. That was the only thing. I had gone to the supermarket, so I had my mask on, and I just find masks a nightmare. I take them off and they're covered in my makeup, you know, and all my makeup's gone from my chin and moved around on my nose, and so wasn't really able to judge it more than that. I put it on for the 3rd day, and what did I use then? I know, it was the Laura Mercier Silk Cream foundation that, again, I've used many times with no issues, and again, it didn't look too bad at all. It lasted okay until sort of mid-afternoon when I was, again, had a mask on because I was grooming Watson. But up until that point, I just still felt like my skin was cakey. That's the only way I can really describe it. Like I said, it felt like I could sort of do this and my makeup would slide off. Whereas at the moment, I feel like, you know, I can run my hands over my skin and it's not going to move my makeup around. But I felt like if I just sort of touched my skin, makeup would come off. It felt greasy. Didn't look greasy, the makeup didn't look broken up, but it felt that way. So I sort of, at that point, was like, this is not great under makeup, unfortunately. It's doing this weird thing to my makeup. Normally 3 days would be enough for me to test out a sunscreen under makeup. So I was like, okay, that's my conclusion. I love everything about it, but unfortunately it doesn't seem to be sitting well under makeup. You could probably make it work using a primer, but I don't want to use primers, as you guys know. So I filmed my review. I wrote all my notes down. I filmed my review. I uploaded it. And then the following day, I put on my makeup and I was like, oh, that's weird. It feels really lovely and matte, and it doesn't feel like it's changing it at all. This was, you know, as the day was going on, I was thinking, my makeup feels absolutely fine. And I was like, I can't put that review up because my opinion has literally changed in 3 days. And so I've used it 3 times since. So I've used it again with the Kiko Instant Moisture. That was the one, in fact, I used on that day 4. And I was like, well, this is weird because this is the exact one I used on day 1. Then yesterday I used the number 7 one again, and again it was absolutely fine. Today I have got on my Kat Von D True Portrait foundation just to try yet another foundation, and I've had this on for 2 hours and it feels absolutely fine. So I have a question mark over whether or not it's good under makeup, and it's frustrating because it's one of those things that you probably want to know before buying it, and I'll waiting for me to let you know, is this any good under makeup? But my experience has been 50-50. Those first 3 days my makeup didn't feel great. These last 3 days it feels absolutely fine. In fact, my makeup feels better than fine today. It feels almost like I've put a primer on underneath it and it's sitting really well. So I don't know, and I've been hot for the last 2 hours as well. I haven't worn a mask obviously, but I have been really hot and was thinking, oh, I'm not looking forward to putting on the studio lights, you know, but my makeup is exactly the same as when I put it on a couple of hours ago. So I don't know what's going on there. So what I did was I had a look at the reviews again on Cult Beauty to see if anybody mentions anything on there. And the consensus seems to be that it is good under makeup. Let me just see what people have said. Enjoyed going barefaced. Actually, that's really interesting. That first review, it says, I have combination skin that cranks up the oiliness in the summer, but I've enjoyed going barefaced during lockdown. I apply this as the last step in my routine, and while I can feel it on my skin every time I check in the mirror, I'm surprised to see how great the finish is. That's really interesting, because that's pretty much what I'm saying, that I can feel something on my skin, but when I look in the mirror, it doesn't look any different. It's just, and even now actually, although my skin looks lovely and it feels okay, I can still feel that I've got something on. It's certainly not a real lightweight feel. Every time I look in the mirror, I'm surprised. No oil slick, no pilling, and nothing is melting off. Great job. Somebody else has said, actually, and I should have said this to you, too dark for very fair skin. I've had to knock a star off for it being too dark for very fair skin. I'm very fair, and when applying the correct amount, it's too dark for me. Hope the shade range is expanded. I did notice yesterday, I think it was, I put it on my face and neck. Now, I put a self-tanner on last night, so I was at the stage where my self-tanner was coming off, and I was like, what on earth is that on my face there? And I got a tissue and wiped it off, and what it was is where I'd put it, I just put a little bit too much on this bit, and it had dried, and it was a little bit too dark for me, so I can totally understand that. I think if you're putting makeup on top, it doesn't really matter, and if you really rub it in, again, it should be absolutely fine, but I do understand that comment. There is only one really bad review on here. It says, do not buy it if you are medium to dark skin. I'm dark skinned. I just bought this and I'm truly disappointed. Actually, I didn't realise this. It says it leaves a terrible, terrible white cast over your skin and doesn't go away. It says, talks about a picture, but there's no picture there. It shows that dark skinned people wearing this is terribly misleading. I'm disappointed in Inkey List and the Cult Beauty, blah, blah, blah. That's the only one, but like I said, there's another two there that say they have dark skin and that there is no white cast. So I don't know whether maybe this person is really dark skinned, or maybe they didn't wait for that 2 to 3 minutes for it to absorb, or different skin types will absorb things differently, you know, whether you're oily or dry. So that's a shame that it says that. Somebody else has said this is a game changer, doesn't leave a white cast, great for my oily skin, no breakouts, makes my skin soft and lovely. It does feel really soft and lovely. It feels actually more like skincare than a sun cream. Somebody else says that they were a bit hesitant as she's very pale. Thought she would end up looking oddly tanned, but it blended really well, and I wouldn't have even known I had SPF on. Really nice matte finish. I'm not a makeup person, so it stopped the need for any powder to take away the usual shine. Interesting. Somebody else says, amazing. I love the texture underneath makeup as it sits perfectly and doesn't break up your makeup. Doesn't leave streaky marks or a residue. So that's somebody that's had a good experience with it under makeup. Somebody else says there's a slight pearlescent blur. There is a really, really slight, as she says, pearlescent blur that you can't really see. I think if you wear it on its own, to me it wasn't matte at all. I think it did give a tiny little bit of something that was really pretty actually. Somebody else says it almost feels like a primer due to the pearly feel it has. Perfect base for makeup, also has a slight tint, so blends really easily. Somebody else saying it's felt so soft after applying this, no white marks. I personally didn't mind it. Left it with a glare shine, but I didn't mind it. Blended well with my makeup. So it seems like there are a couple of people here saying it sits well under makeup. So I would say that perhaps those 3 days I was just having a bad skin day. You know, it can be, obviously with women, your hormones are up and down all of the time, especially mine at the moment. And so it could just have been that that's why my skin felt particularly cakey. But I'd also say, and it's confirmed by reading these reviews, that there is a feeling of it. I can feel it. It doesn't feel like I'm wearing nothing. You know, as I'm talking, I can feel that I've got something on, and it's not the foundation, because I've never got that feeling from the foundation before. It's definitely that, but it's not like, it's not anything that bothered me. And now I know that it feels like that, I'm absolutely fine, because for those 3 days, even though, like I said, it was feeling cakey, I had constantly checked in the mirror and it wasn't doing anything to the makeup. So now I'm like, you know what, that's okay, it's just what it feels like, and then you forget about it. My face didn't feel oily, you know. I don't normally read so many reviews. I just really wanted to give you a well-rounded, full picture of what this was like with makeup and on different skin. Let me tell you what it's like compared to this then. So this one has titanium dioxide in it as well as zinc, so that's one kind of big difference. This one has silicone as a #1 ingredient, so I think that that's why when I first bought this, do you remember I first bought this and showed it in a haul and hadn't used it? A lot of you said you didn't like the feeling of it under makeup, that it felt very thick to you. I love the feeling of this and don't mind that #1 ingredient as silicone, but that may be why you guys didn't like it. There is silicone in the Inkey List one, but it's a lot further down the ingredient list and it's not #1, so it's less silicone-y feeling. This actually feels a little bit lighter going on, even though I'm saying I can feel this one on my skin, and I can't with this one, I don't think. But yes, less silicone from what I can see. That's really it, other than obviously there is the price. This one is a price difference. This one is £14.99, this one is £24. It's still about the same price per milliliter, but or per gram. But obviously if you want to try them out, then go for the one that's less expensive, I would say, because if it doesn't work out for you, you've wasted less money. And this one doesn't have a shade choice, whereas this one now has the choice of 3. That's everything to tell you about this one, but I'm going to keep using this for the next couple of days, and I'm going to use different foundations again and see how I get on. And if I've now used it for 6 days, 3 of which I could kind of feel like my face felt a bit cakey, 3 of which it felt absolutely fine, including today. So I'll use it for, it's probably going to be another 2 days before I upload this. So for the next 2 days, I'll put on foundation and see how I feel, and then that should give me the majority, if that makes sense. So I'll come and let you know in the comments or in the description what my sort of conclusion is. But like I said, actually it's felt great over the last 3 days, so my current feeling is that I was just having a bad skin day, and that it is one of those products that you kind of feel on your skin, but it doesn't change your makeup. So I'm happy with it so far. I mean, once I get to the end, I'll stick it in empties and let you know if it's going to be a repurchase, because then I've obviously used it a lot and really formed an opinion. But so far so good. I can't say actually, if I had to choose between these, I would still choose the Australian Gold one, simply because I don't get that feeling on my face, and so it just gives it slightly the edge. But other than that, they're really pretty similar. Okay, let me tell you what I've got on makeup wise. I have got on, well, you know, the foundation, True Portrait Foundation by Kat Von D. On my eyes is the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. It's the colour called Liar, and obviously I've used a couple of other colours, but from a Morphe palette, because that's the only thing about that Naked 3 palette. There's not a colour that I like to use in the outer corner, because it's very, very cool. It's like a grey colour, or there's a really, really dark sort of black currant colour, and I wish it had a dark brown in it. On my cheeks is the Urban Decay blush in Rapture. I don't think those blushes exist anymore. I noticed that a lot of my blushes don't exist anymore. On my lips is the Stila Liquid Lipstick in Palermo, and this is the same colour pretty much as Kat Von D Lolita. So I prefer the Stila Liquid Lipsticks. They're not quite as drying as the Kat Von D ones, and I haven't swatched them side by side, but I used the Kat Von D Lolita lip liner this morning with this, so I'm pretty sure that they're a very similar colour. I think maybe Lolita isn't quite as bold as this. This nail polish is called OMG Pink and is by Madame Glam. It's kind of ironic because I took 4 polishes that were all in that sort of reddy pinky range or corally pinky range, and said to my husband, I really want one that's a bit more coral this time. So I did swatches on my little nail things, and then I was like, right, this one. And I ended up putting on the wrong one. I meant to put a corally based one on, but yeah, this one is called OMG Pink, but I do actually really like it. That's everything. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon.